Yeah, so just start briefly with saying who you are, where you are now, maybe also how old you are.
Okay. I'm Sarah Gorzelsky. I'm in Pittsburgh. I work in Shadyside, and that's Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania in the USA. Um, I am 35, and I had to think about that for a minute because I don't really pay attention to my age anymore. It's just not important. But yeah, 35. Um, and so it's a big question. Who am I? Think of how to where to start, I guess.
Hmm.
I'm married. I got married 2 years ago. We don't have children. We have dogs. I have an Australian Shepherd named Rumi, and I have a Jack Russell Terrier Chihuahua named Kaida.
Hmm.
So Rumi is named after the Islamic poet, and trying to channel some wisdom through her. And Kaida is his name is in Japanese. It means little dragon. Takes after his personality. Little
Oh,
dog, big personality.
and do you have their photos, or maybe they are? Can I see? Or
Yes,
maybe.
they are here. Let me see myself for a moment so I can show you.
Yeah. Wow. Great. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to see them.
So we have
Oh, I can see you. Okay, lovely. Oh, beautiful. Oh, yeah. Now I can see better. Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm.
so I'm a very happy puppy mom. It's a big responsibility for me, and I take them everywhere with me. They come to work with me. We come as a package. If you get me, you get them too.
Great. Oh. Mm.
Yeah. So I guess going off of that, I care a lot about nature. I grew up in a household with lots of animals. So animals are very important to me. The environment is important to me. Um, and I also identify myself professionally. A lot of what I do is also who I am, which is a caregiver and a helper. Um, I thrive on um, servicing other people and listening to them and figuring out how to be with them. So I do therapy. I'm a counselor. Also in my relationship with my husband, I thrive on taking care of him and, doting on him, and he loves it. And so it works for us. I'm just a very caring and kind person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was brought up with a lot of love in my household. So I like to embody that. And I love relationships and being close with people. I keep my circle very small. I'm not on social media. I don't have anything against it, but I noticed when I was on Facebook, my circle got so big, and I was spending a lot of time on Facebook. So I decided to leave Facebook and all my other social media platforms. And since then, it's been liberating for me for specific reasons, and made my circle very small and made myself available more to those few people. So um, I like that. So I'm not very big on the social media stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so professionally, yes, I'm a therapist, and um, mm, I guess I could also define myself by my hobbies. As a
Mm-hmm.
person, I like a small project at home. I like to give life to things. I like to watch things grow. I like to experiment. So I have some fungi cultures at home. I've grown mushrooms before. I do kombucha. I have lots of cultures of kombucha, and I experiment with different flavors like turmeric and ginger and lavender, all kinds of really good stuff. So right now I have an overwhelming SCOBY hotel, which is the little cultures that you use to make
Yeah.
the teas. So right now I'm trying to give them away. Um, and keep my operation small. I thought about selling the Kambuka, and I was like, I don't want to take that on right now. So trying to keep my cultures, my operations small. I make probably like 12 bottles every other month or so. Um,
Wow.
what else do I do? I am a big vermicomposter.
Mhm.
So I keep a vermicompost. My population of worms is about 2,000. And
Wow.
so I like doing that. I like gardening.
Mhm. 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 And can you say more about those worms?
So
Yeah.
I started with composting first for a garden. I got
Mhm.
into that. Yes, sure. So without using worms, and it took forever. I had to do a lot of work. And so I found Uncle Jim's Worm Farm has red wigglers, and they seem to be the best for composting. They're very lively and active, so I don't have to get in there and churn the compost. They provide the movement. Also, they build their own little ecosystem and they regulate their own population. So I've had around 2,000 red wiggler worms, and I have about a 4-tier vermicompost, so they can move up and down between the 4 tiers. And they make this brilliant compost full of nitrogen and phosphorus and potassium. And I put them outside in the summer, and they have all kinds of other little visitors. And it's a bustling ecosystem in the summertime. When I move them inside, kind of just there's not too many other kind of visitors, kind of just worms and some other things, but really makes a brilliant compost material. But lately I haven't had time to garden, so I do it for the vermicomposting and to care for the worms and to make life and to compost and have less garbage and be more sustainable, and all that stuff's important to me. But I really have come to care for the worm culture over
Wow.
time.
Wow.
So
Uh-huh. Wow. Amazing. Wow.
yeah, it's all these strange living projects I have, and I got to keep them downstairs because my husband thinks they're kind of strange, but he respects it and supports my operations in the basement. So
Wow.
trying to figure out what else I can grow down there. But
Wow. Yeah, wow. It's really, I mean, some sort of this is creativity. I haven't really heard about from other Gestalt therapists or Gestalt practitioners. Wow.
yeah, it is a way for me to channel my creativity. And recently I've been making a lot of sea moss
Uh-huh.
because it's, rich in iodine and it's good for you. And so I just try to get into these like very strange, easy little at-home projects that I can get into. So making a lot of sea moss too. And then, I do other things like finger painting, and I have chanting, where I have my maracas and my tambourine. And in no way am I musically inclined or talented whatsoever. I think if I did a genogram or a family tree, there are no instruments, there are no singing. Like my family tree is not musically inclined. So it's all for fun. It's for fun, and it's meant to be boundless and boundaryless creativity with the making noises with my, tambourine and maraca. It goes with my chanting and brings energy into the room, and it sounds good to me. So I don't follow any rules when it comes to making music.
Hmm. Hmm. I can
So
relate to that very much. And tell me, do you have time for that? Because I imagine you spend. I mean, working with people. It takes yeah, much of your time. So yeah.
mhm. A lot of time, and it's such a good question, and especially now that we're on virtual platforms and we're meeting online, it's really really become like a round the clock thing. So I find time to chant when I'm driving in my car. Now I can't play my instruments then, but if I need to squeeze my chanting in, I can do it on my commute. And that's part of my spiritual practice. So I will chant in the car, which is great because I can just go hard and nobody's around and I can just, do that. But yeah, the finger painting, I haven't done that in a little while. Maybe once a month I'll get to that, not as much as I'd like to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is hard, but I have to put it in my planner and make myself an appointment. That's what life has come down to, but I feel I'm thriving and I feel very like rich in my work and my spirituality. So even though I'm making appointments for myself, even for my leisure activities and stuff, then I can make sure I get to it, because otherwise, I get so busy, and then around 6 o'clock, I really forget about anything else I have planned for the rest of the day. So writing things down helps me. um, I'm trying to find a balance, but it is hard working with people. Sometimes it's unpredictable when people will have a crisis or, a problem, or I'll need to absorb a little bit more than I normally would. And then it leaves me with less energy. So I guess I'm just trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, if I have to, and check on the kombucha cultures and make a batch of sea moss tonight from 6 to 7, or just pencil it in my planner if I have to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's
Uh,
hard though. Yeah, it is very hard.
mm,
Hmm.
mm-hmm. I mean,
But it's
like,
necessary. Like if I don't do those
uh-huh.
things,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't. It keeps me balanced. Like
Uh-huh.
if I'm not doing those things and I'm only doing work, then I feel like I'm lacking in spontaneity and I feel very dull and I feel rigid.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to get to these things.
Mm-hmm.
I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For
Mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah, I can
Mhm.
understand that very well. So, like this pandemic requires adapting kind of new modes of being, no?
Yeah.
Mm, mm, yeah.
It's very interesting, and I like change. So in a way, I'm adapting and I'm adjusting, and like some days are better than others. But I like change, and I don't know if it's the challenge or if it's like a fresh way to be in the world, in a different way with these limitations that are in place, and still trying to find ways to feel connected. And so it's definitely been an adjustment, but I like change, and so I think I've been doing okay. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, just like everybody else, it was an initial shock, and maybe some like depression and sadness followed, and that period of adjustment where the uncertainty was really getting to me, and not knowing when all this will end. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I kind of like this observation that you made about that these times. I mean, requires. I mean, like to be more balanced. You need to be more. You need to introduce more regimes and more disciplines in a way. Because
mhm.
otherwise work, especially online wealth and online work will somehow swallow us, no, will overwhelm us, will be so
Mhm.
overwhelming. Is it what you are trying to say also?
Yeah, and what I was aware of when you were saying that was how almost blurry or non-existent the boundaries have become
Mm,
from like doing all of this Zoom stuff, and being at home and working and bringing all of those elements of psychotherapy with clients into my home, and just kind of being able to go from one activity to another, doing the laundry, cooking, and then going up to the office to have a session. It's like, where are the boundaries? And I
mm,
have been like aware of that. And it's sometimes it's a little shocking and it's a little scary. And I just been paying attention to it. And I
mhm,
don't know
mhm,
what's gonna come of it. I don't know if it's healthy or if it's unhealthy, or if it's, going to make me work too much and not know my limits. Yeah, I'm like really aware of like lacking the boundaries between work
Mm,
and personal
mm,
life
mhm, mm,
because it's so easy to just mesh them and to go to move back and forth or to shuttle back and forth between personal and work all day long. And it's, yeah,
mm,
where is the boundary?
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. What about well, people, or I mean, because you have told me a bit about yourself, and the question is, who shaped you the way you are today? Who shaped you the way you are? So full of energy, and and all those
Hmm.
life projects that you have in your basements. I wonder. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a wonderful question. Thank you for that. Because I'm thinking of some people that are very special to me now, and I
Hmm.
would love to share them with you. Just a disclaimer, I am a sentimentalist, and sometimes when I talk about myself, I might cry, and I'm okay with that if you're okay
Okay.
with that. So just a
Yes.
disclaimer in case I do, because I get very sentimental. So people who have shaped me, I guess I'll try to go in chronological order. The first person is my father. He's very creative, very interesting man. He was an electrician for General Motors, and he was always building different things and building cars and building computers and always working on electronics, just very, very smart. But he also had an interest in like Native American things. And he always wanted to do different crafts. He was very artistic. He could draw and make things. And so spending a lot of time with him helped me to be good with my hands and to kind of do a lot of crafts and think about how things work, taking them apart, putting them back together. He also was a brilliant cook and a chef. And so I have a wonderful, eccentric and like plentiful palate. I love all kinds of different foods. I'll try anything. And so he used to just make some of the strangest items. And so I got to taste a lot of different things and be open minded to different cultural foods and different cuisines. So he really inspired me to really get in touch with my creative side, but he was also a very emotional man. And so I just learned how to be in touch with the emotions and to be able to express that. So from a young age, my father, my mother shaped me because she was so independent. And there came a time where she had to be the breadwinner and she had to pay all the bills and take care of the income and basically take care of everything in the house. My father became ill.
Hmm.
um, so I really saw her kind of take on both traditional gender roles. She kind of did, everything that a two-person household would have to do. And so that was hard on her. And I watched her struggle. And yeah.
Take your
And she,
time.
yeah. And
Interesting.
she, okay.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, so she made it through. Like I said, she had her struggles. There was at one point there was a mental illness and substance use issues in the house with everyone trying to do their best, but things were not going well for one reason or another. So like I said, she became very independent and just she was very, very resilient and strong.
Hmm.
So I got to see her um, continue on through hardship and trial and tribulation. And so I like to see myself in that way. So definitely getting that from her, kind of having all these challenges and just not giving up and just doing what she needed to do, struggling, sometimes not doing a good job, but at the end of the day, always doing her best and just making ends meet. It was, yeah. So her,
Mhm.
um, the next person I would have to say would be my boss, my recent boss. I guess he's considered my supervisor. Um, he supervised me for my hours for licensure, and so I came to the job, and I had graduated with my master's, and so I was working under him, and he had a very unique way of offering supervision. He was very, very Gestalt oriented. He was my first exposure to a Gestalt therapy intervention, actually, because he intervened on me. Even though I wasn't a client or anything, I was collecting hours from him. But so I told you a little bit about like growing up in my household and how my father fell ill and wasn't
Mhm.
present.
Mhm.
So I really I was after validation and approval. I think maybe from like some unmet needs or something like that, but I wasn't aware of it. So when I started being supervised by my boss, there was a moment where, I'd look to him for validation and approval. And there was one day, I remember one moment in particular, when I looked for the validation and approval, and he went like this. And he walked away from me, and I was so hurt by that. It was so devastating, and I couldn't understand because I wanted validation and approval, and he used his body, and he motioned that he turned away. It was like almost like I felt rejected and devastated. It was so painful. So I thought for a while, a couple weeks after that, what's going on? And I kind of, every now and then, I would get that treatment from him. He wouldn't use words, but like I said, he would motion and use his body. And then I would experience in the moment what it was like, to not get validation and approval and to sort of be rejected in a way. And so I started to take care of myself, and I started to try to interact with him in a different way, where I was supporting myself and not putting so much pressure on him
Mhm.
to validate and approve me all the time. And then one day he'd come in and out of the room, and this was a couple months later. I was working on our interactions, and I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, I wish he would just bug off." And so that's when I knew that I had made changes
Mhm.
with how I move through the world and what I expect from other people.
Mhm.
And I was aware in that moment that I was trying to fulfill some unmet need with him to be validated and approved by someone else.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I ended up being able to provide that for myself, and I didn't need that from him anymore, almost to the point where I didn't bother me if he came in or out. And like I said, oh, I wish he would just bug off. So it was a very powerful intervention that, like, I don't need him anymore. I don't care about his validation and approval. But he did all that without saying a word to me. And
Mhm.
that was my first experience of
Wow.
like what I
Powerful.
consider to be a Gestalt
Yeah.
intervention. And it carried over in my other relationships. Like
Mhm.
validation and approval isn't a thing. It doesn't feel unmet
Mhm.
as a need for me. And I kind of was able to move on
Mhm.
from that. And so something was completed for me,
Mhm.
a Gestalt, uh, something was completed. And so in that moment, I said, I wonder what kind of intervention that was. I want to learn about that. And later I found out that he was very Gestalt oriented, very phenomenologically oriented. And so I started getting into Gestalt therapy and trying to study it. But I wanted to share that because that shaped me, that
Mhm.
moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I went through my entire bachelor's and my grad school experience, and I don't think I was ever able to come into contact with that. I never got in touch with that part of my way of being with other people. So he brought me into direct contact with that. And I was able to change it. Maybe it's, that paradoxical theory of change
Mm,
where you have
mm,
to allow something to be as it is in order for something to shift. And so once
mhm,
I saw what I was doing exactly, it just shifted for me.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
So,
mhm.
so hopefully I was able to like articulate that, or you were able to picture that
Yes,
moment,
yes,
because
yes,
it might
yes.
not sound like it was a whole lot, but it really was for me.
Mhm. Very much. I mean, I'm still struck by this uh, paradoxical theory in practice. Yeah, that's one thing. But the other about your parents, it's yeah. I mean, I could. It shed so much light on what you have been saying before that. I mean, before you introduced them, I can understand now better. Uh, yeah, why you are like that, why you are who you are in a way. Yeah, when you
Hmm.
were saying about your mother and her determination, and wow. Yeah, it's so tell me what happened next. I mean, with your how did you come to Gestalt therapy after this experience with this supervisor? How did that all start for you?
Hmm. Sure. So after I had that experience, and it really shifted a lot for me, I wanted to learn how to do that. And I didn't ask him or anything, because he brought up before that he had studied Gestalt and everything, and I felt like maybe that was something I needed to look into. So I applied at the Gestalt Institute of Pittsburgh for a student position in the upcoming cohort, for the ETA cohort, and I was accepted into that. And so I'm currently a student at the Gestalt Institute of Pittsburgh, and I'll be graduating from there in April. So I was able to meet the faculty there, continue to have these growing experiences at the contact boundary, this sort of living relation with people in the present, and doing a lot of body work, kind of getting reintroduced to sensations and feelings, and being introduced to this concept of phenomenology. I really, really felt at home. The interesting thing is, it's not the first time that I was introduced to Gestalt. The first time was in grad school. We had a class, and a professor gave us an assignment, and we had to pick our theoretical orientation. And I felt like that was a big ask, because I really didn't know yet where I stood, or how I wanted to work, or what my style would be. And here we are in grad school. I have never had a session with a client yet, and I have to pick what is my theoretical orientation. So, writing the paper, I picked psychoanalytic.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm-hmm. I could hear you. Only the image was frozen. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'll
So
just
you
pick up
can,
where I left off.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I wrote the paper, and I figured a psychoanalytic, psychodynamic, existentialism, I felt very at home with. And then I also picked Gestalt, even though I didn't know anything about it. And so I wrote the paper, and I get to the Gestalt Institute of Pittsburgh, and I'm studying Gestalt, and I learn about how Gestalt has its roots in psychoanalytic, psychodynamic, and existential and phenomenology. So it was really a confirmation for me that I had been on this journey the whole time, and aligning myself with where I really felt at home which was, Gestalt, phenomenology, existentialism.
Mhm.
And so it really confirmed for me that I was aligning myself, possibly with what I was destined to do and how I was destined to be with the other in the
Mhm.
room.
Mhm.
So, starting with that, I joined the IAAGT. I'm a member there. I'm a member of IG Fest. And so trying to become involved, and also now with all these virtual sessions, trying to get involved with that. I'm in a study group for reading PhD.
Mhm.
Um, and that's been really exciting too, sort of working through the old text and what's considered to be like the Bible of Gestalt, with Hefferline, Pearls, and Goodman. So I'm really interested in learning where it all came from, how it originated. It's very important to me to learn Gestalt and to be able to sort of be like a flame keeper in a way, and to continue to practice it and offer it to other people, and take on the style in the way that it was really meant to be. I know there are a lot of offshoots of Gestalt and a lot of gimmicks and a lot of self-help about Gestalt. But I really want to pay tribute to the therapy, by trying to preserve, and really keep it for what it was always meant to be,
Mhm.
which is about phenomenology and experimentation and creativity,
And
and
what
presence.
what attracted you the most to Gestalt therapy? What was it?
What attracted me the most, I can share with you a moment
Mhm. Mhm.
where it all started. I'll go back to grad school, and we had a professor, and he was sharing about all these different theories. And he would say a lot about the theory, and it made sense. Everyone knows psychoanalysis is mostly about transference, countertransference, id, ego, superego. And then he got to Gestalt, and he had this like big smile on his face, and it was so enticing. And I was waiting for him to explain what Gestalt is, and he never did. Because, like, what the heck is Gestalt? And so I was left so hungry, and just wanting more. And it was so enticing because he just couldn't explain what it was. And I said, okay, if he got that excited about Gestalt and can't explain what it is, I want to know what this thing is. I got to get in this club. Like, what is this?
Mhm.
So I think I was also kind of on my journey then too, because when there's a challenge involved, I'm all in. So I was kind of after it from then on. And then I got to the Gestalt Institute of Pittsburgh, and the more I learned about it, we had to get in a group, and we kind of had to sit in silence for a while and see what would emerge.
Mhm.
And it was difficult, and it was stressful, and it was emotional, and it got right to the heart of the matter. And I said, oh my God, this is where I need to be. That's me, because I'm deep. I like to get right to the heart of the matter. I don't like dancing around things. And when I do psychotherapy, I really like to get in there. Business, where is it coming from? How's it showing up right now? Like, what do you need from me? What do I need from you? Like, what's happening between us right now? Like the really eye-opening, like really shocking things that happen in the moment. I'm like, okay, this is exciting. This is where I want to be. I don't like going into my body. It's hard for me to talk about my feelings. Part of me likes to torture myself. So I'm like, this is perfect. And so ever since then, I've been struggling to talk about my body, my emotions. Uh, I get frustrated. I stress myself out. And it's been the biggest challenge for me, because I like to stay in my head. I like to intellectualize, and I don't like to be reintroduced to my body and talk about what's going on in the present. It's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing ever, but I like to torture myself. So I'm where I need to be.
I like it, the way you're talking about it. And after those years in Pittsburgh, in the group, in the cohort, with the tutors, teachers, trainers, um, how would you say, how did Gestalt therapy affect you as a person? Uh, mm,
So for one, it's made me feel like I'm at home. It's difficult, and nothing has come easy to me in my life. Everything has been very, very difficult, and Gestalt is difficult. Sorry. Um, just when I feel like I have a handle on Gestalt, just when I feel like I can pin something down, like figure background or field, or presence, just when I contact awareness, just when I feel like I can pin something down, I lose my ground with it completely. It becomes abstract again, and I don't know. So it's difficult, and that speaks to me because if something comes easy to me, it just isn't it. It doesn't interest me. So it's very deep. I feel like it's evolving all the time. I feel like it's about love and connection and contact. That made me emotional. I don't know why.
mm, mm,
And like, I just,
mm.
I feel deeply about that because um, going through a lot of hardship and difficulty and kind of making it through has left me with like all of this experience that I want to like share with other people. And with Gestalt, it just opens a space
Mm,
to get in touch with that, to be in contact and to be present with everything that's deep and overwhelming. And it speaks a lot about creative adjustments, and I have 100 creative adjustments. And so the idea of just like being with people and their creative adjustments is beautiful to me.
mhm,
I love that. And even though Gestalt says very little about trauma work, for some reason I connect Gestalt and trauma work, and I see that for the future for Gestalt. And a way for me and my style is incorporating trauma informed care with Gestalt, because I am a traumatized person. I've had trauma in my past, and when I found Gestalt, and like I said, with my first interaction with the Gestalt intervention, shifted and changed so much for me,
mhm,
and was so important for me in my relationships. So yeah, I just feel very deeply
mhm,
that,
mhm,
about
mhm,
Gestalt, about where it's going, about what I can do with it.
mhm,
But I also want to preserve it too. I don't want to change it. And I'm embarking on this journey with it. I'm always trying to understand it better.
mhm, mhm, mhm. I like this expression you used before, flame keeper.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. And
Yeah, and
your
I would be so
yeah.
honored and privileged. I'm not by any means at all, but I would like hope one day to have like the honor and privilege to like be a flame
Mhm,
keeper
mhm, mhm,
for
mhm.
Gestalt. Yeah.
And you said already that you became a member of IAGT and IG Fest, and I wonder what was your motivation behind, searching for new communities, new spaces, basically within Gestalt world.
You were breaking up a little bit. I heard you say something about communities and Gestalt.
Uh-huh. So, because you mentioned about becoming a member of IAGT and IG Fest, and I was wondering about your motivation behind this, behind joining new communities.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. You cut out.
Ah, mhm.
Maybe try one more
Yeah,
time.
yeah, of course. Yeah. So you mentioned IAGT and IG Fest.
Yes.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And I was wondering what was your motivation behind it,
Hmm.
behind joining new communities?
So I was motivated to take advantage of all the virtual platform stuff that's happening right now. I want to be involved. I want to keep the conversation going about Gestalt. I want people, I want to be inclusive. You know, I want to make Gestalt available to more people. So by me joining IG Fest and offering groups and being a part of groups and workshops is a way for me to provide service, but to also keep Gestalt in conversation and keep it fluid, and hopefully doing my part to build it as a community. With IAAGT, I was interested in the research that they're doing, and like I said, in any way I can make a contribution and be part of Gestalt. I always have like a fear that I'm going to miss out on something Gestalt. So I try to and anywhere I can fit into my schedule, I can make an appearance in any way. I try to do that because I feel like I'm missing out if not.
Mhm, mhm.
Um,
And you feel
yeah.
uh, um, oh shit. Technology today is not our, I mean, I don't know, yeah, on our side, so to speak. Mm, yeah, like, but what I wanted to, yeah, ask you in relation to what you said, uh, because you said you don't want to miss out some new Gestalt opportunities, Gestalt workshops, and so on, and you want to offer as well. Yeah, can you hear me?
Uh-huh. I'm just moving
Uh,
towards the door because maybe I'll
yeah.
have a better
Uh-huh.
connection.
Uh-huh. And um, and I wonder, do you miss it somehow? Do you miss community in your everyday life? Is it some kind of feeling that you have perhaps about well, that you want to belong? Is it something about that too, or not necessarily?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And might get a little emotional answering that too, because that stuff is coming up for me when you said that. Um,
It's
yeah,
okay.
I have always, you know, it's been a struggle for me, like fitting in, and finding like where I belong and what group. And I am introverted at heart, but I also love people and I love being around people. I just need to, like, after I'm around people, I need to go recharge my energy by being by myself. So I say that to you because um, I've always been like looking for a group where, you know, maybe I felt comfortable and like I really fit in. And, you know, I am very social. I have many spaces I move in and out of. But yeah, I think my whole life I've always been looking for somewhere where I really felt at home. And I have been finding that lately. I said that I'm a very spiritual person. I have a spiritual circle and I meet with them every week. And I really, I feel at home in that group, which was really nice. I also have a peer supervision group of people from that I met at the Gestalt Institute of Cleveland, and a very small group of us stay in touch, and we meet and we talk about Gestalt stuff, and I really feel at home there. So in a way, I am, like looking for, um, a group where I really, really feel that it's a peer group and I feel at home in. Um, and maybe that's where that like fear of missing out comes in, because I don't want to miss a moment of it, and I
Mhm.
want to be seen, and I want to secure my position within that group,
Mhm.
and concerned about being worthy and eligible, and all of those things. But that's my personal stuff. That's what
Mhm.
I bring,
Uh,
which is probably why I get upset if I miss out on anything.
mhm. But at the same time, I guess maybe this is what we need nowadays. No, we need to belong. Uh,
Hmm.
mm,
Yeah,
uh,
and I want other people to feel like they belong too. That's why
mhm,
I would love to see Gestalt be, us work towards being more inclusive, and um,
mm.
so. Mhm. Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
about
What
me,
do
it's
you
about
mean?
other people.
What do you mean by that? Because you are mentioning it the second time at least about this inclusiveness. Uh, what does it mean for you specifically?
So I've heard that Gestalt therapy in the past could be taken as very Eurocentric,
Uh-huh.
very like white male
Uh-huh.
oriented. So and so my hope is that we can be more inclusive, and we can be more culturally
Uh-huh.
diverse,
Mm-hmm.
have more people, because if we want to evolve as a therapy, I think that would be very important,
Mm-hmm.
to see what that would look like, and to have other people come in and help define these larger terms: contact, consciousness, awareness. Um, so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and speaking in terms of this of the future of Gestalt, how do you think it will evolve? I mean, your
Mhm,
fantasies
mhm,
and your,
mhm.
yeah, based on your observation, but generally your intuition, what does it tell you?
I love that question. It's so big, I'm intimidated, but let me give it a shot.
Yes, yes,
So,
please do.
yeah, so the future of Gestalt. I think of Gestalt as, and this is my own personal thing, but I think of it as the theory of everything. I think of space time and general relativity meets psychology, phenomenology, and spirituality. I just think that it really holds a lot of answers for me. I think that I see it becoming more of a scientific discipline.
Mhm,
I was at a training, and I heard the presenter talking about how undifferentiation becomes differentiation, and kind of how everything is kind of in process. And it's so fascinating, because that's how we work in the therapy room, but it also sounds kind of quantum mechanic-y too.
mhm.
And so I love that. And so I definitely think it has a place in science,
Mm,
and it has a place in the therapy room too. But like I said, maybe even ultimately a theory of everything, where everything kind of just falls in place if we can think of, that everything is in process. And um, I just think it's fascinating. I don't think it's going anywhere. I see it evolving. And I see, like I said, I see it becoming more inclusive, less Eurocentric,
mhm,
and more trauma informed,
mhm,
as we recognize how much folks are traumatized, and how much it impacts
mhm,
us for a very long time,
mhm,
and a lot of people end up in therapy,
mhm,
and can really really benefit from Gestalt interventions and experiments, and just seeing people with their creative adjustments and allowing them to show up as they are, and recognizing that everything's in process, everything's fluid, everything is changing all the time. But more importantly, the co-creation of everything, right? Just the thought that the field is the organism in the environment. So without any separation, without assuming that I exist in a vacuum or you exist in a vacuum, but this field is just like you and me together making this space. And I wouldn't be saying these things without you, and you wouldn't be feeling the way you're feeling right now without me. I think is beautiful. It's like, where's the
Mm.
separation? You know, so it speaks to the interconnectedness of everything. And I just get swept away with all of that.
Yeah. I like it. Now the our connection is better, and it's like the end now. And I yeah. So I am left with this feeling of hunger, but yeah, but we will see one another soon, this way or another. But tell me, maybe you would like to add something from yourself in terms of conclusions, or I don't know.
Um, I just want to express my thanks and my gratitude for your movement, for this Humans
Uh,
of Gestalt, and it being so Gestalt in itself because it's an experiment. And I understand that you're working so hard and putting in a lot of hours and kind of doing your part and
mm,
contributing to keeping Gestalt in conversation. And
mm,
so I was so happy to be here today. It was such an honor and a privilege. And like, I
mm,
just wanted to
mm,
take a moment to thank you for thinking of me and sharing a space with me today,
mm,
and meeting with you.
mm,
Um,
mm.
and I just want to say that I feel that we have built some ground together. And so I'm excited about that because we got to meet, but only briefly and not too personally,
Yes,
talking. So
yes, yes,
very
yeah.
fortunate and grateful.
Yeah, and I really like that I could hear more from you, and I could see your dogs, and I guess hear your husband in the background. So it feels, close. I mean, somehow more close, and yeah. Thank you. It's been a pleasure for me to also, and I feel yeah, I was running today. I've been running all my day today, and it was good to stop with you for a moment and feel actually and be here. So thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day, and I will email you with this preview and consent form. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks.